every film buff has at least one weird hobby that's usually associated with their love of movies, and one of the most popular ones that I've seen is autograph collecting. You know, everyone wants to meet their favorite movie stars and have them sign their memorabilia. And easily the most popular place to do that is at Comic-Cons or conventions. It's become so popular, in fact, that most people just attend these conventions simply for the sole purpose of meeting their idols. But recently, there's been a lot of talk lately in the convention community about autograph prices and how ridiculously high they're getting. And as someone who goes to a lot of these shows, I'd figure, what the hell, why not give my 2 cents about this whole debacle as well? Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, and if you do all of that, then you are officially groovy. So all of this debate really started to gain traction when the YouTube channel Dead Pit Radio made a video discussing the topic, which, by the way, I highly recommend checking out that video. It's really great. But the moral of the story is that autograph prices at conventions have continuously grown over the past several years to a point where a lot of people are starting to tap out and can no longer afford collecting them. Which, I mean, if that's something you are genuinely passionate about doing, then that sucks. But something I've noticed is that a lot of these convention goers have been doing this for a very long time now. We're talking like a decade or 2 or even longer they've been going to conventions. And back then, autograph prices at their highest were around $10 to $20 maximum. And these were the prices for the top tier celebrities like Robert Englund and John Carpenter. Compare that to much more recently, and now guys like those charge 5 to 10 times higher than that. But at the time, besides them, a lot of celebrities would even sign autographs completely free of charge, which nowadays is basically extinct. I started going to conventions much more recently, around 2022, and at the time, the lowest prices for an autograph were around $30 to $40. Yeah, the lowest. If it were still the mid-2000s and you saw that a celebrity was charging $40 for an autograph, you'd probably be like, holy shit, are you out of your mind? Compare that to today, in which $40 is basically a bargain. And it pretty much isn't gonna get lower than that. Nowadays, I'd say the average price for a signature is usually $50 to $80, if not even more. And it has definitely gotten out of hand, to say the least. Because if you think the prices by themselves are already insane, guess what? It gets crazier. A lot of celebrities nowadays will also include add-ons for additional fees. So, for example, if you want someone to write a quote from your favorite movie or write the name of their character on your poster, that's gonna be like an additional $20 to $40. This isn't always the case with everyone, but it's starting to become a lot more common with a lot of guests lately, and quite frankly, I think it's kind of annoying. And it's why I personally don't ask for character inscriptions or quotes on my items unless it's free of charge. But guess what, folks? It gets worse. Because another new trend a lot of people have been noticing is that celebrities could also charge you extra for an autograph depending on what type of thing you want to get signed. So like, for example, say you want to get a mini poster signed by your favorite actor or director or whatever, and they're charging $80 to sign it. But let's say instead you want to get a Funko Pop signed by the same person. Well, tough luck for you, pal, because they're gonna charge you $120 for that. And that especially annoys me because what the hell is the point of charging extra for a specific item if you're still gonna write the same amount of ink as you would on the other item? Well, there are definitely some possibilities as to why, and quite frankly, I think the biggest reason is definitely eBay sellers. Because there are so many people who want to try and profit off autographs, especially those crummy autograph hounds who invade celebrities' personal space by shoving shit in their face and causing chaos. God, I hate those people. But it's also when people started selling autograph memorabilia on eBay that they would set their own prices, and it usually ranges all over the goddamn place. But stuff like, say for example, an action figure or a Funko Pop, they would set prices for those that were way higher than on, say, an 8x10 photo. And believe me, those eBay sellers are everywhere. One time at a convention, I saw this one guy bring like 20 to 30 items for just one celebrity to sign. And that celebrity was charging like $60 to $80 per autograph, which means that guy maybe spent a couple $1,000s on autographs for one person. And you'd think this was just some superfan who just wanted to get all of his merch signed. Well, this guy didn't even say a word to the celebrity. He just kept placing items one by one like it was like a conveyor belt or something, and then he just put them back in his little wagon of merch after each item was signed. It was honestly kind of pathetic to watch. And I may or may not be wrong, but I think celebrities started to catch on to this idea of eBay sellers, and that's why so many of them now are charging different amounts depending on the item. Because back in the day, doing stuff like charging more for a quote or a specific item was completely unheard of, and now it's the new norm. It's crazy. But I also wanted to share a few examples lately of certain celebrities with their prices, and all of these have caused some sort of outrage. First off, Mark Hamill. Now, Mark Hamill's obviously an icon. You know, Luke Skywalker, the Joker, tons of big roles. And he started entering the convention scene, I'd say about a few years ago, maybe earlier than that, but I have no clue. And when his prices were revealed, people actually lost their shit. I'm not even kidding. And honestly, I would say rightfully so, because the minimum price to purchase a Mark Hamill autograph was $400. What the actual fuck? And that's if you wanted him to sign an 8x10 photo. Anything else was somehow even more than that. If you wanted him to sign a bulky item, whatever the hell that is, that's gonna cost you $700. My god. Look, I like Mark Hamill as an actor quite a bit, but you have to be out of your mind if you pay all that money for a singular autograph. And we're seeing this kind of stuff happen more often now too. Brooke Shields just started doing conventions, and when I heard that, just based on her filmography, I assumed she was going to be maybe $60 to $80 for an autograph, and then when I saw that these are actually her prices, I was definitely taken aback to say the least. Look, I know a lot of people know who Brooke Shields is, but when your filmography looks like this, I think that's too much. Not to mention her controversial background, but I don't have time to get into that. Another actor who just now started doing conventions is Michael Douglas. Academy Award winning actor, huge Hollywood icon, but $330 minimum? Come on, dude. So clearly everyone's getting crazy expensive at these conventions. But remember how I said that some will charge extra for the dumbest shit? Well, check this out. Debbie Dunning, who I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I had no fucking clue who she was until I looked her up. She's this chick from Home Improvement, by the way. And at first, her prices seem fine, but as you go down, it gets genuinely insane. $1,000 for a fucking autographed script, ladies and gentlemen, as well as $500 for a jacket. What are we doing here, people? And if you think that shit's crazy, wait till you get a load of this. $20 to give this person a hug. Huh? That is actually mind-boggling. And honestly, the only way I can kind of see this making sense is that this Debbie chick just doesn't like giving hugs and is only willing to give them if she gets paid for it, which is honestly just sad. Meanwhile, you got people like Matthew Lillard out here giving out hugs and high fives and everything for no additional charge, despite how incredibly popular he is at the moment. Listen, at the end of the day, as much as we want these autograph prices to die down, it's simply not gonna happen, because despite how more expensive they'll continue to get, people are still gonna line up and pay for them constantly. And there's just no way to stop it. So ultimately, you gotta decide for yourself, where do we draw the line when it comes to collecting autographs? Everyone's prices are gonna range all over the place, and you simply gotta decide which ones are worth it in the end. And ultimately, it comes down to two criteria. One, their relevancy as a celebrity today, and two, how much they've made an impact on you as a person. Like for example, there's a random C-list actor who hasn't gotten any work in over 20 years, and they don't have any impact towards you other than maybe having a certain role in one of your favorite movies. What seems like a reasonable price for him? Maybe $40 tops? So you go to try and meet them, but then realize they want $60 for an autograph. Then you would probably have to pass, because honestly, that's just too much. Now, let's say on the contrary, you got a guy like Weird Al Yankovic. He's one of my favorite musicians of all time, and he's still incredibly popular to this day. So he's someone I wouldn't mind paying a decent amount of money on. So that is why I was really happy to see he only charged $100 for an autograph, and not to mention it came with a free selfie as well. See, stuff like that is worth it in my opinion, and it's always going to be different for other mindsets. Like some people might think that's too expensive for Weird Al, which I understand because that's still quite a bit of money either way. So if you're watching this video and still want to continue collecting autographs, I would just say you gotta decide if the prices are fair or not. If you feel like it's too expensive, just pass. But if you feel like it's tolerable, I say go for it. But whether you like it or not, autograph prices are gonna continue ballooning up, and sadly everything's just gonna get more expensive. I've honestly been debating it lately, and I'm considering going to less of these from now on. The past couple of years, I'd usually go to maybe 5 to 10 conventions a year, but going forward, I might lower to maybe like 3 to 5 a year. Listen, I'm no millionaire, alright? I'm just a normal human being like a lot of other people. But I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about convention prices. Do you guys think it's still tolerable, or do you think it's officially gotten out of hand? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. See ya.